Tesla quietly removes the Cybertruck no resale policy, but it leaves one big question unanswered.
And they're also making significant changes to some of the new refresh Model 3s and possibly hinting at the next-gen cheaper version as well.
And the iconic retro design of the ID Buzz now has a price and range to go with it, but the price is far from retro. All that and more starts right now. This podcast is brought to you by EVject. More on that in a bit, but you can also listen to it on any major podcast streaming outlet. Just search Kim Java. But let's jump right into it. I want to talk about the Cybertruck finally dropping the no resale policy.
Yes. 9 months ago, when Cybertruck first rolled out, Tesla released this no resale policy. There was a $50,000 penalty if you chose to try to flip your Cybertruck. If you did that, you also would not be able to purchase future Teslas. Well, now in that purchase agreement, that fine print that mentioned this penalty, mentioned not being able to purchase new Teslas, that's completely gone as of this week.
So what does that mean for people that have purchased a Cybertruck in the last 9 months that it's been available, and they did have that agreement in their purchase addendum? Does that mean that they can't sell theirs, or does it mean that they can?
You know, Tesla hasn't publicly announced this. This is just something that sleuths on the internet have found to be missing now from that purchase agreement. So that's kind of left to be unknown. What I personally think is going to be happening here is that if you purchased it under that agreement, that's what you're essentially bound to. But if you're purchasing it now, you're allowed to possibly sell it. That
seems weird to me. To me, I don't interpret it that way.
Okay.
To me, I interpret it as like, okay, we've sold enough of these. If you guys want to go ahead and flip it, you can flip it at this point. Because now they've also made it where anyone can go ahead and purchase one. There's no like long 4-year waiting list anymore. If you have enough money to get, the Foundation series, you can get it.
Yeah, there was a Porsche dealership just a couple of months ago that actually was selling these successfully at $290,000 a pop. That's $170,000 more than what the retail price was for it at $120,000. So they're essentially paying that $50,000 fee if that's what they were being sent, and of course not being able to buy additional Teslas under whoever's company name they had used to purchase them. And people were doing this. We know of people that have been doing this, possibly paying the fee, or maybe Tesla's not pursuing them. But now it seems like it's not a
I know there's some dealerships that have been selling them overseas to Dubai and other places, so they're able to make so much of a profit that they can afford that $50,000 fee, and for them it makes sense. Why not do it and pay that extra fee with them? So it's an interesting conundrum, I guess, in a way. But I'm curious how you guys interpret this, and what do you think this all means? Do you have a Cybertruck? Is it something that you were looking at maybe selling, trying something else, and this opens you up? I'm curious. Let us know in the comments below. I know this was a big deal for us because we did want to purchase a Cybertruck early on. I wanted to be able to use it for content, but I didn't like that I felt like my property was not my property to do what I wanted with. Because what if I bought it for content and I did want to sell it 6 months later and try out something else, which I feel like as a content creator is something a lot of creators do.
Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't necessarily be trying to make a profit or selling it for more than you bought it for, right? It would just be selling it for whatever people are willing to.
I just wanted to come even. That was my goal, is to be able to have it, make content, and then come even. And luckily, we've had enough friends and people we know that anytime I need a Cybertruck to use for content, I've been able to. So we've been fortunate with that. Yeah. But, I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think about this. And there's also some other news with the Cybertruck this week.
It is FSD related. People have been waiting for a long time for autopilot and FSD. And according to someone who works on Tesla's AI and autopilot team, they went over on X and mentioned that the auto park assist features are going to be rolling out here in the near future, possibly by the time you're watching or listening to this podcast. And they're saying that the FSD version rolls out for Cybertruck sometime in September. So it's been 9 going on 10 months.
They keep saying, it's coming next week to Cybertruck. It's coming next week. So September, hopefully this is like really it at this point. I think a lot of people have been very patiently waiting. Yeah. It seems crazy to me still that they have rolled this out without autopilot.
Yeah. And it's also fascinating to me of what it takes. What's the difference when it comes to hardware requirements, or maybe just verification of software implemented with Cybertruck's hardware? Why can't they get it to that ready vehicle? Exactly. But there's got to be a good reason.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that. Is there anyone on here that knows, maybe has like an inside that can elaborate on us? Let us know or send us a DM.
All right, Kim, up next, significant changes to the refresh Model 3 And for one particular variant, the new Model 3 2024 rear-wheel drive, only the ones that are destined for Mexico markets are now seeing a massive change in physical hardware on board of these vehicles. And the list is just incredible when you see what they've done for this particular variant. And it's fascinating insights to possibly where Tesla's going with the next-gen, cheaper version of the Model 3. So essentially what they've done for the rear-wheel drive refresh Model 3 in Mexico is, as of this week, they've removed the normal vegan white or vegan black seats that you get to choose. Now it's a textile seat only. You don't get to choose those other vegan seats. Also, Alcantara is gone. You get textile only. In addition to that you lose heated seats in the front, no heated seats in the back either, no heated steering wheel. Once again, reminder, this is only the rear-wheel drive variant for that market.
Why? Do we know why?
It keeps getting better. Well, obviously, they're reducing costs. They're testing the waters, I think, of seeing what interest is if the price comes down on this car for that market. But get this, you're not going to believe some of these changes because some of them make you scratch your head because these can't be that significant of a cost to Tesla.
So are they charging less for the rear-wheel drive Model 3 in Mexico then?
They are.
Okay.
Yep. Comes out to be about $2,700 less for this market, for this base Model 3. In addition to everything else I've said here, they're also taking away the RGB multicolor ambient lighting, the red, green, blue, where you have the variations in the ambient lighting. Now, in these Model 3s, only a white color ambient lighting is available. You can't change it. Again, makes you scratch your head because you're like, how much of money, because we know how cheap ambient lighting.
Well, I feel like we're going backwards. Like, why even have a refresh Model 3? Just sell them the old ones.
It gets better. It gets better. 17 speakers now in this base version. Only 9 speakers are available. No subwoofers either. Both subwoofers are gone. Acoustic glass is no longer in this Model 3. I know, I told you it keeps going. Which acoustic glass makes it for a quieter cabin. That's not going to be there for this Model 3. And I believe there was one more thing on this list I had jotted down.
I feel like this isn't even the Model 3 anymore. Like, why don't they just call this, like, the
Model 2?
The Model 2 at this point.
That's what the discussion is, because this really seems to hint at Tesla possibly testing this market, seeing what interest there is. Oh, yeah, there's the last piece, an important one. The rear screen is not available in the base Model 3 either. They've taken out the rear screen as well. Total price, again, $2,700 cheaper. Possibly they're testing this market to see the interest, and if this seems to be successful as far as sales increasing at this base price point, maybe they bring it to other markets. But the discussion here is that is Tesla possibly looking at doing something like this for the Model 2? Because they've long suggested they're not going to be creating a new platform for the Model 2. It's going to be based off of existing platforms.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I definitely think so. It just feels weird, though, to do it this way, where it's like this test of still calling it the Model 3. Yeah. Like, do they really need to be doing this kind of testing? Don't they know? Like, can they just, like, run those numbers without doing this kind of testing? It seems really weird to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
Isn't that fascinating, though?
It's really weird. It's not even fascinating. It's just bizarre to me. Yeah. Like, it's
only that variant, not on any of the Model Y bases, not on any of the Model 3 or Model Y trims. They all get the screens. They all get the acoustic glass. They all get the vegan white or black seats.
It doesn't feel like something Tesla normally does. That's what's weird about it, is that Tesla doesn't typically work with this way. It's like typically the Model 3s are all pretty much the same. Like you get more range, they're faster. Like you get things like that, but not really taking away some of these major physical features. Yeah. Like, it almost seems like, I don't know, it seems like that is like the Model 2. Like, it's just like, why?
Well, maybe it is the Model 2. Maybe
But why don't they just call?
Yeah.
This is just weird.
Yeah.
We have another Tesla fire in the news this week, and this time it is a Tesla semi that's caught fire in California and actually closed down the interstate for almost an entire day.
Yeah, this happened near Sacramento, north of Sacramento on I-80 on the way towards Reno. Happened at about 3 a.m. Semi that didn't appear to have the trailer attached to it caught on fire. The California Highway Patrol was called. They said between 13 to 16 hours to put this fire out.
Yeah.
as well. And the driver actually was able to walk out of
Yes.
this.
So we don't know right now, did the driver fall asleep? Why did this happen? They're still investigating all of that. It's also the first time we've had a semi catch on fire ever. And they've been testing them on public roads now for about 7 years. So this is the first time. But we also know with Tesla, once that fire starts with an electric car, they're really hard to put out.
And mainstream media, of course, is having a field day with this. I was really curious to see what would come of this. And they've got headlines like it's spewing toxic fumes and it's burning at 1,000 degrees, just like extreme details to make it scary.
It is interesting because if you do compare it to like a typical semi, we have about 7,000 fires a year with those.
Yes.
So that's a lot more than what we've had with this that's been testing for 7 years and one fire. But obviously, we don't have as many on the road. That's something to think about. And then, like I said, with EV fires, they burn longer. So I think that's why media is probably, talking about it so much.
Yeah. So let us know why you think people are so fascinated by electric car fires, and kind of obviously the media sees that these are getting traction, which is why they're publicizing it even more, because the stories on their websites, on their YouTube channels of these local news outlets, I'll notice it as well. You click on small market local news channel YouTube channels, and then their videos about Tesla fires. Boom.
I mean, I noticed
views.
it on my Instagram, honestly. Like, I'll make a short and anything about a fire, it's like tons of views. And then my other ones are like, average views. So it is weird. So you can't blame it all on the media. It's also what people want to consume at the same time. But personally, I think people are just interested in it because electric cars are still new. Electric semi is super new, so people naturally kind of want to like tear those things down, take them away. So I think having like that fire is like, see, I told you gas cars were right, that was the way of the future, these electric cars, you have a little bit of that. I don't know whose voice that was. I really don't know. That was the big oil. Let's talk a little bit about supercharging, because there's been a couple times when I've been charging my Tesla and I get that feeling, like I get a little bit scared feeling. I'm all by myself. Maybe it's an unfamiliar place that I'm charging it at. And when I'm charging, I'm basically a sitting duck for about 30 minutes. I have to physically get out of my car to unplug it. And that's where today's sponsor, EVJet, comes in.
Yeah, this is a product that's really well loved by the community and really provides an incredible peace of mind when it comes to those sort of scenarios where you are in a setting where maybe there is an emergency, you want to get out, and you don't want to necessarily have to step out of your vehicle to get out. You can hit unlock charge port. It stops the flow of current between your car and the charger, and you can drive away. This actually breaks in half, protects the wand as it falls to the floor. You can send the remaining piece over to EVJet. They'll give you a free replacement the first time you go through this. And again, gives you that peace of mind, works on level 1, 2, 3 superchargers. And they're working with Tesla right now to get it to be able to work with a V4 supercharging as well.
It's really exciting. And so we actually have a code for 30% off. You can use our code KIMJAVA, and we'll put that in the description below. But I want to talk about this feud going on because it's kind of getting heated. We have Peter Rawlinson, who says, he was the designer of the Model S, and we have Elon Musk.
Oh, yes. This is one of my favorite stories today. So yeah, as you said, Kim, Pete Rawlinson actually claims that he was the chief engineer of the Model S back in 2012 when he was with Tesla. Elon Musk has gone on record and said that's not true. But then when you look at promotional videos for the Model S that are still online right now from back in 2012, it claims that Pete Rawlinson was a chief engineer there. And even SEC filings say as much as well. So there's a little bit of contradiction there in Elon's claims. And then Rawlinson kind of has really never stopped casting stones at Tesla's direction any chance he gets. And this go around, he spoke to Yahoo Finance recently, and he's gone on to say Tesla is distracted now and we've taken the mantle from them, kind of really trying to hit home how much more progressive Lucid is, how much better they are in certain areas. And this quote I found really fascinating with Yahoo Finance. Rawlinson said, quote, "Clearly, we have the best technology in the world. We've now taken the mantle from Tesla. I mean, everyone's striving for how far you can go and how little battery space you can use. And we're considerably ahead of where Tesla is. When I was at Tesla, Tesla was the tech leader, but they've become distracted and we've taken that place." So that's what Rawlinson said in a recent interview.
Okay. I have some thoughts on this. So first off, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when this whole, when they parted ways to see what really happened, because I feel like there's a lot more to this story than we know. So if anyone has any details on that, share it. And also, I wouldn't necessarily say that range equals best technology.
Okay.
I feel like, yes, Lucid can offer, what, 500 miles?
500 miles on the Lucid
Which
Air,
is great. But I wonder if Tesla was to make a couple boutique models and charge, double what they charge, like
Price-wise, yeah.
price-wise for these, if they could probably do the same thing too, but they would also be losing money where they chose to focus on, making cheaper vehicles.
Yep, they've been able to scale well. Of course, Tesla has a better UI setup as well, and they've been able to make it profitable by a pretty significant margin. So
and Lucid is just losing money.
Yeah.
So,
but they make a great EV though. I mean,
our
neighbor has one.
They do.
They love it. You've seen it, and you've been in it as well. It's a really quality product, and the range is pretty incredible. But yeah, there's so many things that go into making a tech leader.
It's a good car, but I still think Tesla probably has better software.
Yeah.
Like, I think the UI, that the user experience with Tesla is probably still better, in my opinion. But I don't know. What do you guys think out there? And how do you feel about this? Like, who do you side with? Do you side with either of them? Who do you side with?
Gosh, I'm going to get so much heat. I mean, I'm not necessarily siding with Rawlinson, but the fact that he was the chief engineer for the Model S, and Tesla SEC documents clearly say that, as do the videos that are available online, and Elon claims that he wasn't, makes me feel like there's something more personal going on there, kind of like you said earlier. I mean, we know Elon's had these sort of battles with the co-founders, and so on. So I mean, these are all things that kind of resonate with early Tesla days and people that possibly maybe knew a little more about certain parts of the vehicle. And Elon came in and was like, no, this is my baby, regardless of how much you think you know about it.
And it's hard, though, because when something becomes successful, everybody kind of wants to say that they were part of that, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily, just because you were part of it doesn't mean that you're the reason why it became, successful. Because at some point you left, you didn't do all the things that were needed. It's really the people that put in the work to make things successful. So again, I don't know if we'll ever know the full story. I think that these two guys like to stir it up a little bit because they both kind of go back and forth. It's entertaining.
And Lucid's got an incredible backing from the Saudis that are able to keep them afloat, right? I mean, like you said, they're losing money. And as great as their technology is, they haven't been able to scale it and make it profitable. And Tesla wasn't able to do that for a long time as well. But Lucid has some hefty wallets that are supporting them being able to even try.
Yeah, that's very true. So, PJ, have you heard the new buzz around town?
What is it?
All right. So we have the Volkswagen ID Buzz, and they finally gave details for the price and the range. Yeah. So it looks like it's going to start at around $60,000, and the range is 230 miles. Yeah, and that's for U.S. variants.
Correct. Yeah, 231 all-wheel drive, 234 rear-wheel drive, so essentially 230 miles. And what's fascinating is it's a 91 kilowatt-hour battery pack. It's a huge battery pack. So efficiency, clearly, the design, as retro as it is, as iconic as it is not an efficient design. So they're not really pulling much range out of that massive battery pack.
We know deliveries are going to begin at the end of this year.
Yes, and the specs that are coming in, 7-seater is going to be an option, full acoustic glass, dual power sliding doors with electric sliding windows, and 30-color ambient lighting as well, 13-inch center display, 5-inch ID cockpit as well, and 8 USB-C ports, which is pretty cool. And their driver's assist is there, dynamic road sign display. The one big thing, which we know VW said is coming in 2025 models natively built into their VWs, is that this particular ID Buzz coming out at the end of this year won't have an ACS, no North American Charging Standard Tesla plugs on them yet. So I was just fascinated, why would they release this in the US a few months before 2025 and not implement the Tesla outlets?
Why did they deliver the Cybertruck 9 months ago without full self-driving?
Touché, Kimberly.
I think they just want to get it out there at this point. But, it is, I love seeing more vehicles come out in this segment with the 7-seat option, especially, having kids myself. Mm-hmm. I love having these options. I love the design. I do think it's pretty cool. I love this super retro looking design. Price wise, I feel like the price is okay for me because it's funny because I read a bunch of articles and they were comparing it to a Model Y. And I was like, why would you compare it to a Model Y? To me, you need to look at 7-seat options because families are going to be looking at Kia EV9 and maybe even a Model X. And if you look at the 7-seat variant of a Model X, it's more like $85,000, where the Kia EV9, I think is $55,000.
And Model Y has a 7-seat variant as well, obviously. But I know what you mean. They're not
I mean,
it's
it's
not gonna be the
barely a
same.
7-seat variant with the
Yeah.
Model Y, like where the ID Buzz is going to be a bigger vehicle.
Yes.
So to me, I think you would compare it to other vehicles about that same size. But range wise, it comes in really low.
Yeah, I would have loved to see the Tesla van that has been in discussions for a long time, and maybe with having this robotaxi day, there's some light shed on that as well. But I would love to see what Tesla can pull off with 91 kilowatt hours, because I bet you it's going to be significantly more than 230.
Yeah. So do you guys think this will be a buzz kill?
You're having too much fun.
Too much fun. And speaking of buzzkills, Ford is shifting their EV strategy and they're prioritizing hybrids.
Yeah, they've had a pretty aggressive rollout plan for EVs, Ford has. And in the last couple of days, it seems like a little bit of a shift, kind of signals more towards the broader market, kind of moving a little bit maybe away or slowing down their approach of EVs and going more the hybrid route. It's precisely what Ford is doing. They were planning on next year introducing a 3-row electric SUV, and they've now shifted that and are going to be going with a 3-row hybrid SUV. So they've, again, moved away from that, saying down the line, they don't believe this particular variant would be profitable within the first year, is what they said, their CFO. And they think that, they want to make sure it's profitable, or the market essentially is not necessarily looking for that.
Or they can't compete.
When I read that, that's kind of what I thought about, right? They're saying it actually aligns better with their customer preferences and the reliability of internal combustion engines, also literally what their verbiage was. And I think by reliability, they referenced, having additional range as being more reliable, not necessarily EVs breaking down and gas cars not. But that's the way I saw it, is they're saying their customers find ICE vehicles more reliable at this stage.
So they want to do the baby step and go
baby
hybrid.
Step hybrid, correct. That's what they're doing.
I mean, it kind of makes sense for them, but I feel like we're starting to get into the OEM scramble.
Yeah.
And by that, I just mean that like we're starting to transition, and we're finding that these other companies, Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, that we've been talking about, are taking, their place in the market. And so the OEMs are having to figure out, okay, well, what are we going to do differently in order to sell cars?
And Ford also had plans to develop and release a full-size electric truck that was kind of going to follow the F-150 Lightning that was going to come out next year. They've now pushed that back to 2027. So the plans are still there, but 2027 for their next version of the F-150 Lightning that was going to be coming out. So again, a little bit of a pause and slowdown in their rollout plans just in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about all this? Do you care? Like, are you excited for these hybrids? Do you know people maybe you know people that just aren't quite ready to take that plunge into electric, and this would be an option for them? But more options, headed in the right direction, sort of. I don't know. Speaking of things sort of going backwards, let's talk about this bundle that we talked about last week with the Model S and X.
Yeah, so there was this 3-year bundle, that one-of-a-kind bundle that Tesla offered, and it was essentially a full self-driving, supercharging, unlimited supercharging, and premium connectivity, all for $5,000 for 3 years. Tesla has now changed the verbiage on that. They're now calling this the Drive Anywhere package. And the package essentially says that you can get a discount. That $5,000 bundle becomes a $2,000 bundle if you buy FSD outright, which we know is $8,000. So essentially you buy that for $8,000, you pay $2,000 more for this Drive Anywhere package, and for $10,000, you're able to keep your FSD.
So $2,000 now becomes $10,000.
Yeah. You're able to keep your FSD in this scenario after 3 years, and you get unlimited supercharging.
But you don't really get to keep your FSD, because when you go to sell your car, you lose it.
At this stage, it looks like that's the case. And most recently, when people asked Elon Musk in that earnings report or whatever it was, he responded saying, no, it's not going to be transferable.
So that's why I feel like these bundles are actually a little bit misleading for a lot of people. And I feel like people are going to go into them. It's good marketing, but they're going to be disappointed in the long run.
Yeah. And this, again, is for new purchases of SNX.
Yeah, because only the new people, I'm sounding so cynical here. Only the new people are going to be the people that would do an offer like this. People that have been driving Tesla for a long time know that this is not really that great of a deal.
Better. Yeah, you're right.
I know. What do you guys think? Am I just being cynical? I don't know.
I think $50 a month is what it comes out to. Last week, we were talking about how it was $30 a month for this bundle when it comes to supercharging fees, since you're getting unlimited access to it. Now, purchasing this bundle at $10K essentially makes it a $50 a month unlimited access to supercharging.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Do you feel like me? I don't know.
And lastly, today we're going to be talking about a former Tesla supercharging exec that was laid off back in April. Remember from the big supercharging team layoff? Well, she's joined Uber and is going to be helping Uber with their transition to sustainability and EV usage. And she's going to be their head of sustainability there. So Rebecca Tanucci, that's the former director of the supercharging team. Last year, she was actually on the Time Magazine 100 list there for climate list they had for pushing EV industry to transition towards the NACS.
And then she was canned by Tesla.
She led that transition to the NACS that was adopted by most OEMs. I know. And she even oversaw the early rollout of the V4 supercharging stations, the $100 million deal that Tesla got with BP to have those charging stations across Europe.
Well, I'm glad she found someone that appreciates her talents.
She did some great stuff for Tesla, but she says she's all in with the clean energy efforts, and Uber is sitting at the intersection there of autonomy, self-driving, robotics, and they want to incorporate EVs into it. And of course, she knows a lot about EVs, having been at Tesla, so that's going over to Uber.
It sounds like a great fit.
I think so too.
All right. And we put a lot of effort into these podcasts as well. And if you want to appreciate our efforts, Patreon is a great way to do that. You actually get access to the audio file of these podcasts a day earlier if you are one of our Patreons.
Yes, you get one-on-one Q&As with us. You get also exclusive never-before-seen content and behind-the-scenes footage as well. A lot of goodies there. We'll link that on how you can support us on Patreon.
And thank you guys so much for watching or listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Bye. Liam, we're in the middle of recording. You can't just go, Dad.
It's a school night.
I want to play with my friends.
Only if you're driving the Cybertruck. You have to promise me that you'll buy me a Cybertruck in Fortnite. Action.
That's how it works.
Liam, we're literally in the middle. You can't do that.
Hour and 4. You came up here for 4 more minutes?
Yeah, the queue time.
I hate this game.
If there's a lot of people.
Elon, buy it and ban it. I would buy it and delete it. Should we start a GoFundMe to buy it and delete it?
We need a lot of donations for that.
Okay, that's a whole nother sponsor.
Okay.